Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where I cover new and old games, will make reviews and playthroughs of games I really enjoy playing. Everspace 2 is a fast-paced single-player spaceship shooter with exploration in space and on planets, tons of loot, RPG elements, mining, and crafting. Experience an exciting sci-fi story set in a vivid, handcrafted open world full of secrets, puzzles, and perils. This game proves you don't need a billion star systems, or ship interiors, or seamless transition between space and planets, and so on and so on, to be a fun game to play. All of the above would be cool, but if it takes 10 plus years to make a solar system, no thanks. The menus. They seem something Unreal Engine would spit out by default. I know it's not the case, but somehow it just feels that way. It's not really a negative, it's just something that bothers me personally in games. You can find most options you'd like to change. What I dislike is the fact that I don't see a single tooltip or some sort of description on what I have highlighted. And the abbreviations surely are not helping. Why SSGI it's not called just screen space GI or global illumination? Game starts by default with third person camera view. And to be honest with you guys, it's the setting I played the entire game. Didn't like the cockpits, so I don't even bothered. I also saw track IR support. Again, didn't try it because I can't possibly imagine what I will do with head movements in this game. I mean, other than breaking my neck. The game supports all kinds of peripherals you'd expect from a space game, including joysticks. Was pleased to see they added presets on many popular joysticks, including the Warthog Hotas I own. Didn't play with it though, just saw it exists and works. Had to invert some axes and I was good to go. The UI gives me strong Destiny 2 vibes. Everything is too colorful and big for my taste. Looks slick, is not bad as Egosoft's UI, not at all. It's not bad in that sense. These guys made a refined functional UI. But then again, Destiny has a refined and functional UI. And the menus in that game are bad. UI during space battles is way too busy for my taste. When you lock something, a big plate with info appears on your screen. That information could be presented to you in a more minimalistic manner. Shit pops up on screen sometimes. When that happens during combat is infuriating. Good thing it doesn't happen often though. And the controls are fine. You don't have a billion other controls like Star Citizen, for example. You can pitch and yaw just fine with the mouse, and for roll you use Q and E. Roll doesn't matter as you don't have negative G's in space, so you need to roll only when you need to fit into tight spaces or when you boost around an asteroid mining. You also have boost left, right, top, down. That's strafe in other games, and some other skills and consumables. But that's pretty much it. My point is you can comfortably play this with the mouse and keyboard.
Damn, a welcoming committee. Looks like Radeon got here first. There's no way we could have...
I got mixed feelings about this. The main events in space are cinematics. They are looking pretty but are nothing great.
What the hell were you thinking? You know we're trying to keep a low profile. How did you reroute this thing anyway?
With my G&B signature. Look, I had to do something for...
Main events that would require a lot of work as cinematics are some sort of animatics, which are cool. For who doesn't know, those are storyboard with animations and dialogue and music. Some of those animatics are choppy for some reason. That's really annoying. And we have dialogue. Lots and lots of dialogue.
Need to detain you for just a moment.
Callahan!
Yes, sir. We just need to run a security check. No one is exempt. This was your own directive.
We appear to have met an unanticipated event in our plans. You are already acquainted?
Most dialogue happens in the stations, and when you are into that mode, you can't interact with anything. So you're stuck listening. You can skip it, but I don't know why we can manage the inventory while the characters are talking.
Odd place for a package collection. Hey, dude, it's you! What the?
The story overall is not bad, but will not win any awards for sure.
This is my score. I've waited too long for it to come around. You're only here because Dex is dead. I'm done, Sheriff.
Near the end, they lost me entirely due to some characters acting irrational and stupid. Maddox comes to mind.
Your responsibility.
Combat is good. Everspace 2 is an arcade game, meaning you will not spend hours upon hours toying with the controls and reading guides on how to dock a station. After half of hour with any ship loadout, you will start to see the metrics, meaning nothing new to discover, nothing new to get good at. The game suffers from lack of enemy diversity. Let me explain. Only snipers and webbers make you act in a certain way. All other enemies can be treated the same. Sure, there are ships that have somewhat different roles, but in the end they all come in the range and circle you with slight variations. During rifts and certain encounters with lots of enemies, your heart becomes a mess, and I start to realize why we have those epilepsy warnings before we start some games. You just can't go in with a plan like, I will pull that clump of enemies, then I'll deal with those over there, then I zoom over there and pew pew the big one. Nah, they just come right at you. And there's no capital ships fighting in this, sadly. In the real sense, just imagine having this massive fight around a big spaceship, targeting its subsystems, weapons, shield generators, etc., while its fighters leave the hangars and attack you. This is a cool idea, sure, but this is also the reason companies release shitty products after polishing their turd for 2 decades. The people at Rockfish Games had their own idea, and they made the best possible game with what they had in 5 years. And they really made a good game. Crafting is pretty good. I made useful stuff all the way to the end. It's slow to start because you need blueprints before you can make a certain module, but it's not that bad. You find blueprints when you loot stuff and disassemble the ones you don't need. The thing I didn't really like about crafting was the fact that crafting was always a bit behind what you could find in the game, meaning I wasn't excited about crafting anything by the time I could make it. It was just a useful mean to get what I was unlucky finding in the world. And I'd like more depth when it comes to crafting in games. I love having some control over what I'm doing other than press F to create this specific item. I'd like to control at least one attribute that would be put on the item. The progression feeling is great all the way to the end game. You get bombarded with loot and can change weapons and ship types with no real downside, just to figure out what you like and don't like. My only problem with that is until the end game, shops refresh their ships hourly and they don't always have the ship you want in stock. So if you sold your ship for a new one that you don't like, tough luck, you can't buy back your old ship for a while. Ships are a bit disappointing, meaning I would have liked more visual customization other than a few parts you get from playing the game.
Material and other stuff. It has my name on it.
It's Delia Wendo, right?
Main missions, yellow marker, progress the story and sometimes unlock new areas to explore. Side missions, blue marker, give good rewards. Jobs, green marker, are side missions you can take in certain stations. Supralight events are the random encounters that pop up during travel.
That was it?
I recommend doing this because of good cash rewards and crafting materials. High risk areas are similar to the endgame Ancient Rifts, but can be acquired and completed by any level. Just don't make the same mistake as me and hoard them into your base thinking you do them later. If your level is higher than the signal decoder level by 4, these become junk and can't use them anymore. So do them as soon as possible. The signal decoders can be found from elite enemies, capital ships and certain containers. Found enemy bases have a good drop chance too, but I don't know what drops them there. Might be just the density of the shit you destroy. They also have rarities and they can be used only in the system you found them in. Puzzles are a mechanic that will take away at least 1 point from the score of this. I don't even know where to start. Let me just say a couple of things, then I move on. Sometimes these puzzles make you feel like you are performing brain surgery. First time you do a mechanic is fine. Can feel good because you figured it out. When you do the same shit the 10th time, it gets frustrating. There's simply not enough mechanics to keep this fresh until the end. We have power cores. You need to move around these and put them into the sockets. We have shield generators that you need to destroy those to shut down shields. We have ancient runes. Need to find them and rotate them into the correct configuration in order for them to open something. We have ancient lens. Those need to be rotated to focus on some glowing crystals to repair certain structures. To add to the frustration, all of these are hidden sometimes, so you need to run around looking for brown highlighted objects to throw away so you unveil the object you need to interact with. I'm sure I missed a few, but this is it, and in my opinion devs overdid this. It has no place in a looter shooter, not at this scale at least. And so is travel. The amount of time you spend flying back and forth is staggering. I have the impression that at least 30% of the time played is spent traveling between A and B, then back to A for a single mission. I know that sometimes it's required so you take another mission from the same guy in the same station, but come on, it's like your comms work only half the time, or you have top secret eyes only information to exchange. Devs alleviate this later into the game, way too late in my opinion, by letting you build these spatial bypass beacons in every system.
But your tone is far off the mark.
You can hardly expect me to be pleased by yet another deposit of this abomination of the rules of physics left scattered in the cluster.
Trading exists. You can buy in certain stations high and sell low in others or something. I didn't engage in such Kerber activities. I just sell my crates whenever I dock at a station, regardless of the price. The same can be said about mining. It's in the game, nothing special, just a time sink. You just run around the asteroids or in caves shooting reflective colorful crystals. At least you can one-shot the nodes with a certain weapon. Some mining nodes and precious metals spawn inside asteroids. Graphics are good, with a couple of exceptions I don't understand. Space is a boring place. I mean, it looks bland with only one light source. One side of every object is uninteresting and dark. I would have expected better light setups. Hell, better system designs in at least 2 solar systems. Something with multiple strong light sources that will make your ship and everything you look at more interesting. I'll not give examples because it doesn't really matter. Game is out and overall looks good. Second thing that bothers me a bit is the nebulae clouds you see in space, especially when traveling in supralight. I don't understand why are they pixelated. Those textures don't fit with the art direction in my opinion. They belong to other games, not this. Ship design is generic and models have fewer details that I would personally like. Textures don't really help either, because ships have clean surfaces and the roughness map has no visible variations. Voice acting is good, effects sound cool even when it happens mostly in a vacuum of space. The music is very repetitive, generic and somewhat old school. So are some of the sounds. Just close your eyes and listen.
Credits. Better value by weight.
It's like someone is playing Bejeweled, am I right? Everspace 2 gets a whooping 7.5 out of 10. An honest game that doesn't try to be what it's clearly not. And Rockfish Games deserve a big round of applause for that. Teach those big AAA studios how to make a proper space game. And on a budget, I'm sure. And get this, it has a demo. I like these guys. Keep up the good work. That's pretty much it. See ya.